There you go.
Hello and welcome back to Ears to the East, where today's subject is brought to you by Benedict. Please tell us today's subject, Benedict.
Yes, so I wanted to get these guys' opinions on some more controversial
our
topic.
guy. That's our
It's that hot
opinion.
potato. He's already
Yeah.
And that topic is Yui, but not so much why she left Baby Metal. I mean, we all know the rumors, but more...
The fact that you said she left has already gained you hate from half the audience.
Oh,
Please continue.
I mean, we were talking about
You
topics
have to watch my steps here.
And it feels like Benedict just come
disclaimer
up to us and go,
beforehand, we are not hating on Yui or anyone, being a Yui fan. But in my opinion, it feels there's an extensional amount of Yui fandom, especially on YouTube. You always see people like posting especially Yui pictures, not just Baby Metal pictures, always Yui. And they're always, I don't know, they are hardcore Yui fans. And to me, it feels it can be a bit overwhelming because obviously it's all hypothetical. We don't know why Yui isn't in Baby Metal anymore. Maybe I should say it like that.
that was safe. I appreciate that one.
Yeah. But just thinking of it, we don't know the reasons. You know, maybe put herself into her shoes. Maybe she doesn't want any fame. It's a possibility. Maybe she just doesn't want the fandom or anything. But all the hardcore fans exposing her over the internet, I mean, that's kind of makes it impossible, wouldn't you say?
I'm gonna get my opinion
So they're
out of
like
the way.
forcing her into that role, even though it's in the past.
Yeah. I'm going to get my opinion out of the way relatively quickly here because I think a lot of people have heard it, and I did a video on my channel which is entirely, I think it's actually labeled replacing Yui, and it's about, you know, what do you do in a post-Yui
maybe
world.
I should have watched that.
Well, this is the reason I'm going to get my opinion out of the way fairly quickly here because I think a lot of people know it anyway. Now, I think I really enjoyed Yui. I was a big Yui fan. I've always been a big fan of the two members behind moving up and being as powerful as Sue, and for me Yui was just a load of fun. However, I kind of said in my video that I am and I'm a big Momoko fan as well, but for a similar but different reason. Anyway, I kind of said that we do not know, and I should add a quick disclaimer. Maybe people know our channels individually, but we are all, you know, we're all fans of Baby Metal. We're all fans of Yui as well, actually. So there's no hate or anything like that. But the thing is that for me, Yui was someone who, it could have been anything. Yeah, I mean, the conspiracy theories that you hear could be true. Maybe she injured herself and then she got kicked out. To me, that doesn't make financial sense for the record company to do that. There is no financial incentive. If anything, it's too risky and it has no definite benefit for them. And there's all these conspiracy theories fair. I don't know if they're true or not. For me, I think, though, one thing you see a lot in the idol industry is people who grow up and it's all they've known, you know, from a young age. It's everything she's had. Her entire life has been this. And then she gets to a certain point where she's released 2 albums with this international thing. She's got a bunch of money, you know, well, enough, you know, more than maybe she ever wanted. And she looks and she's
hopefully
ill.
I mean, I don't know about Amuse.
Well, yeah, fair enough. But let's assume that she's probably done all right, you know, probably done better than working at your local corner shop. And then she gets to this point in her life, and, you know, so she was ill. She takes a little bit of time off, and, you know, anything can happen. You know, she could spend more time with her family. You know, maybe she's out in the countryside. She's away from all of this, and she goes, "Do you know what? I've achieved a lot in my life, and, you know, this was never something that, you know, she loves it, but she didn't choose it. It was something that she had from as long as she can remember. And so maybe she's like, yeah, do you know what? I'm happy with what I've done, and therefore she might choose to just sort of say, this is good. This is a nice point. This is a nice juncture to leave politely." I don't know if that's the case, but that's what I would like to believe is the case. And if that is the case, then yeah, I kind of think that it's okay for people to go, I loved Yui era Baby Metal, that's all fine. But I think it is probably also a good reason to say, let her go. Of course, I could be wrong. She could be kept in a dungeon somewhere, and we should all be making more effort to try and
that's kind of like the point I'm trying to get at. Like, if you love someone, you let them go. You know?
Oh, this is getting really sad now. It's getting deep. All right. Anyway, I said most of that in the video. That's a shorthand version. I want to give Neon a chance to talk about this because we talked about this privately, but I'd really love to know, because obviously I think you're probably more in touch with the Baby Metal fan base than really either of us. I mean, I've done all the Baby Metal stuff, but you've been you know, you've done a lot of BABYMETAL stuff, I think, over the years.
Yeah, I have
Like
done.
live streams.
I have done a lot over the years. I think I don't know where to kind of really start on this. There's so many mountain hills. I've said on previous streams as well my thoughts and opinions kind of like really on it. I think I fall on the side that I think it should always be treasured. I like that even now people still like to post things about Yui. I feel that that shows good compassion and a bond for the band, that it's not just one person, it's a project, whether or not you're a former member or maybe a member to be in how many odd years. It's really nice to see so many people get attached to Yui and also attached to Momo in the short time as well.
But then, like, shouldn't you post pictures of the whole group and not just focus on Yui?
I think everybody has their personal favorites though. Like I know people that only
true.
post pictures of Moa. I know people that only post pictures of Sue. So you know, it's
I like how you didn't say there's people who post pictures of Momoko only. Is it too soon?
I think it is too soon. Yeah. I think you need to earn that as well. There is definitely.
I'm going to do that now. I'm going to become Team Momoko then, just to like start that revolution.
But yeah, I have no doubts that there will be. Lots of people already like love her. I haven't seen like any bad things. I have never said that. I've never seen any bad things about Yui either. I mean, I've been in the fandom now probably a long time. I know some of the theories. I know some of the darker ones at least, as well. From what I've been told. But that's all they are. They are theories, speculation. There's no point even getting into it. But yeah, I think her time should be cherished. I don't see why not. I think there's a limit, and this is what I'm gonna lead up to. I said I don't like that shit's all done really nicely, but it needs to be done respectfully. There's a case to be made that maybe some people are like maybe slightly obsessive to the point where it's maybe slightly unhealthy.
Do you think disrespectful to the current members though? Like, so being like too obsessed with someone who's no longer in the band, do you think that could be, in a way, it's like, well, look, if you're in the BABYMETAL fandom and you're so much more a fan of someone who's not been in the group for years, is that not in some way therefore slightly disrespectful to the members who are there? I think that's the question that seems to be like no one seems to want to say, and yet it seems to be. It could be
interpreted that way, yeah, for sure. I don't see why not. I'd like to think that it comes from a place of just love more than anything else. I feel like they just respect Yui enough that they just don't want to forget her because they loved her so much, rather than them posting those pictures because they want to be disrespectful to the current.
Oh no, not intentionally disrespectful. I kind of more mean it's like if you're in a fan base where everyone's like talking about, oh yeah, the band we all love has just come out of a new song, and then there's certain people who only ever talk about a member who left several years ago. Does that then cross a line? Is that the line that you're talking about, or would you say maybe? So where would you?
I feel like it's all done with like probably the best comparison, just off the top of my head, that I can really compare this to is like if let's just say like again, this is going so left field. I apologize, but you think of the Pokemon anime. Right? You think
so random.
It is so random
in a billion years.
But his first companion was Brock, right? Now, how many companions has he had like over the fucking 25 years Ash has been a child? But
he's a Poke slut.
But we all know the games you play, Howard. The websites you've been on. But the point is even after 25 years, Brock is still the favorite. Like most people know who Brock is, and he's always posted and remembered. It's hard to shake that first love, is what I'm saying. Like that was the original group, so they're always most fondly.
Wasn't Ash?
Yeah. Ash is the main guy. Brock and Misty with the companions. Did you watch cartoons as a kid?
Pikachu. I didn't watch this one clearly.
Ash
Pikachu was his companion.
Human companion.
The little guy in the MAGA hat with the small yellow Furby.
Yeah, that's Ash. Yeah, I'm talking about the companions, Brock.
I didn't know he had companions. All Pikachu was his companions.
Human companions.
Humans.
Yeah.
Humans.
Howard's into bestiality confirmed.
Gotta catch them all. Anyway. So we were talking about.
But the whole point is people offer, like, even though the anime's been on for freaking years, people still post the original OG trio. Like, and that's
the steering.
Yeah. We're going to that field. But that's the same with BABYMETAL. They were the original three. It's really hard. Like, you could take like even like Metallica, even back in the days, and there's still some people that really like the first pictures of when Dave Mustaine was in them. You know, people that just like that. They just sometimes the original is hard to kind of replace. You know, it just is.
So Benedict, where is the line?
I cannot tell you. I think everyone has to decide the line for themselves. But I mean, I get what you are saying. It's like the original, and you kind of want to stick to it. But I think the Pokemon comparison is not the best, maybe, because it's something fictional. There's no one affected, like spreading that shit.
Hey!
You want to get into the darker side?
Piss off the Pokemon fans right now.
This is what it really comes down to.
Do you know what? I'm not going to call this. I'm going to change the name of this video to why Benedict thinks.
Why Benedict wants to like piss off all our subscribers.
This was a bad idea.
just like Photoshop him.
No, but try to think of it like this.
Okay.
Like Neon, for example. If you would say, for whatever reason, I'm done with YouTube, I'm not gonna do any YouTube videos anymore, I'm gonna do something else. And people will always like spread over the internet like, here, Neon, the ultimate reaction guy, and you will never get rid of that image. Like, wouldn't that kind of be disrespectful to you?
But is that not like
something if you say for yourself
carry anyway? Like, for example, if you're in a band who has like one really famous song, and like a lot of the time people will go, oh, play that song from 20 years ago. It's like, I want to play my new shit. And they're like, oh, I play that song from 20 years ago. There's going to be a degree of that anyway.
Yeah, it's true.
I feel like Howard's right on that one. I feel like sometimes it's the same. You're stuck in a stigma. I feel like sometimes that's just the way of life, I think, a little bit, you know. Yeah, it just is. Like, you know, people are always going to associate probably you like that, and people probably always associate me with their reactions and stuff. Even if I went off and did other stuff for 5 odd years, I'd probably still be known as you know, the hat guy or whatever. I think people are just set in their ways and all that as well.
Hey, I'd sign up to your OnlyFans. I'd sign up.
Good. Neon OnlyFans coming soon.
You haven't already?
So only one fan.
Only one fan.
Only one.
Which is me. I signed up to my own OnlyFans.
He's the man who took the plural out of OnlyFans.
I think what I see critical about it is just the connection that she's always like connected with BABYMETAL, and there's like also you see people like only the old BABYMETAL is the true BABYMETAL and things like that. And I'm just thinking if Yui maybe, because that's I think the official message, she even said she would like to meet us again as Yui Mizuno in some other, I don't know, her own project. And I'm pretty sure if she would come out with her own solo project, which has nothing to do with BABYMETAL, people would still say like, oh, well, you can do music, wouldn't you go back to BABYMETAL and things like that. And that's where I think that's the line.
There would be people who would call her Yui Metal. Even when she's like, no, I want to. There would be people going, oh, Yui Metal, and they're like, oh, are you going to wear the outfit and stuff like that?
I kind of get that you are just, you know her by that name.
I think that there's been, so although this is slightly different, one thing that me and Neon have discussed before is I have this theory that, and I think this applies to all things in life, that if you think something is perfect, then you don't love it, you're obsessed with it. Because like, if you really love something, then you can find a problem with it if you love something, because that's life. You know, not everything's perfect, and you love things for their foibles. And for me, although this is perhaps not something I've got experience with the Yui side of things, I think if I ever come across a situation where someone seems to be talking about her like she's faultless, like her presence would fix everything, you know, that kind of approach, that for me is where the line is. It's like, if it seems to be the sort of irrational belief that her presence would fix everything, then, and it's like, I say fix everything. Of course, that's, again, subjective. It's for people who think that BABYMETAL is broken for not having her. And that's a fair conversation to have artistically, you know, whether you prefer them post or, you know, or prior to them. presence. But
what I have seen, I don't know if you guys are
I
experiencing.
thought you were just going, what?
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. What I have, yeah. What?
What?
What I have seen though, I don't
Why
know
go?
if you guys have experienced this, is I had some interactions with some fans that once Yui has left, that's it for them. They're not interested in the baby metal moving forward. They're very much the Yui era, and then everything kind of after that is a bit like not as good. Or sometimes some people don't even listen anymore.
I mean, that's absolutely fine, I would say.
Hmm.
It's just you shouldn't, or the problem I think comes in when you go out and put out this, I don't know, idea, try to force it onto others.
Yeah. I think one of the difficult things in assessing that is that I do think it should be pointed out that BABYMETAL's sound has evolved throughout all 4 albums. Yes, 4 albums that they've had. And the funny thing is, though, is that I think, I mean, you could draw a line between any one of their 4 albums and say, oh, well, this is the point where BABYMETAL changed, because they did change between all the albums, and I think very deliberately. And I think there is a certain degree of people who maybe have spotted that, for example, when Yui left, BABYMETAL kind of lost a little bit of the poppy side and went much more into the heavier side. And yes, admittedly, not having her there, not having 2 members at the back would maybe make that happen. But I think that would have happened anyway. I think that was kind of their course they were on. They broke into the scene with this kind of interesting juxtaposition of sound, and they cemented themselves by being a metal group. You know, metal fans tending to have more longevity. So, you know, their sound was always going to go more metal. And yeah, there have been other things like the introductions of production, production and such, like being heavier in recent work. But ultimately, I think sometimes people conflate Yui's leaving with a change in the sound, when I think that change in the sound would have happened anyway. I agree. That was Yui.
No, I don't think that was Yui either. I think they would have always stuck to their plan. I think it would have been more coherent, especially. A lot of people says, "Look what we could have had if we still had Yui." I think, I say, look at what we got with her leaving. We had the Avengers. We have Momo now. We did have the phase of just 2 girls instead of 3. And I've said this multiple times. I personally like a trio. I like the trio with Yui, and I like the trio with Momoko. So, you know, they did they did the 2 thing, and it was cool, and I'm really glad they got a 3 again. But what we got out of that is we got to see what BABYMETAL would be like with a 2. You know, so we did get different things. We did get just Moa and Sue music videos and stuff. So, you know, you could say, oh, look what they're missing out on, but we gained a lot. And
actually, do you know what, that's an interesting thing, because I noticed that there weren't music videos for BABYMETAL for a while. I never really connected that. But do you think that the reason, because all their music videos for like Metal Galaxy and everything, they were really relying on like these live videos, and it was always like one of the Avengers in the back, and I think that kind of makes sense now. So you can't record like a scripted set video with a person who's not officially a member. Maybe that's the reason why they weren't able to do a full-on music, because it would have looked weird having Sue and then Moa just kind of on her own in the background, not really singing very much, dancing on her own. Yeah, I never even thought about that.
Yeah, this is what goes back to what we said before about in the other video we just talked about, where I said that I think that Metal sounds and feels much more Yui era in terms of the music video and stuff like that. It's nice to know that even after like 6 years, like they still can't do music videos very well. It's still got that feel to it. Which is,
I like that video. I like that. I know that
I liked it too.
There was a complaint that's been going. There was a complaint that was online that I thought was very interesting and seemed legitimate, but I didn't like the way at all it was worded. But it was a complaint. Apparently, someone had said something about in the music video. Is set in a shrine, but apparently they're wearing shoes, which of course is extremely disrespectful. But I kind of pointed several things out about that, just in case anyone was wondering. First of all, it looks like a set to me. I don't think that's actually a shrine.
Yeah, they're not in a shrine.
Although
that's all green screen, if that wasn't already apparent.
Well, there is a green screen bit in there, but you know, there is also a bit where they're on like a set, but they put their hands through the paper as well. So I mean, I don't think that was a real shrine. But the other thing I just wanted to point out about that as well is, if maybe we can talk about that later if people want us to as well. But if you do a music video at the shrine, it's not like the people of the shrine just walk away and leave you to it. They are going to keep an eye on it. So if they ever see a music video like that, in a shrine, it was approved by the shrine, and that's then an issue to take up with them. So I liked that music video, and if anyone wants us to talk more about that controversy, we'll do more research and come back to you on it.
When I say the music video is bad, what I mean is it falls into the "it's so bad it's good" category.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's cheese.
It's cheesy. It's cheesy. Yeah, it feels as cheesy as the videos did back when, like I said, Yui was part of the band. For me,
Good quality fondue.
So exactly. So it's like, you know, sometimes you like a smash action packed hit, and sometimes you just like a cheesy rom-com. You know, it is what it is.
You are the king of metaphors
I
today.
know, right?
It's kind of interesting, but I wanted to know, when did you guys get into baby metal? Was it like way before Yui left? Was it right at the start? Because I think that could also make a huge difference on how you feel about Yui leaving, because I basically got into baby metal when she already was out.
Yeah, that was
so. I don't really have that connection. Maybe
I got into baby metal, I think, beginning of 2019. I'm sure there's people here from my channel that will correct me on the date.
yeah, but that's after Yui as well.
That was after Yui, yeah. So I first listened to baby metal, I think, round about the announcement of actually her leaving, or round about the time where she was on hiatus, but it wasn't confirmed that she was coming back yet. And I believe, if I remember rightly, again, I might be wrong here, but I believe that I was reacting to baby metal when she released the letter saying that she was leaving, full stop, and not coming back.
Yeah.
So
did you just say she left?
She left. Yeah.
Oh shit.
So I was there when there was still, like, people didn't know whether or not she was coming back or not, or what was happening with baby metal at that time, whether or not they were going to be a two-piece or she was going to come back at some point. Like, it was all up in the air. There was some people that thought baby metal would disband and they wouldn't become a thing and stuff like that. It was all going on at the time. And then they announced Metal Galaxy, and then I managed to go and see them and stuff like that. So that was a really nice time for me. But yeah, I came, unfortunately, probably just at the end of that Yui era.
Yeah. But so you're kind of in the same time realm as me. But
yeah.
Howard, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit harder for me to sort of draw the line on it, but I mean, again, to try and not go into one of my ranting long stories. Basically, I was familiar with them when they debuted, because I remember being at a party with some music friends in London, and we were just like putting on, like, everyone was just putting on songs on the TV, like, and through YouTube as like suggestions. Oh, let's listen to this now. And of course, everyone was music related. So yeah, and then just one of them, this Chinese lass who was just like, she was a photographer and she was always into the heavy music. We were like, okay, put on something heavy, but something that everyone can enjoy. And she put on Headbanger by BABYMETAL. And I remember just like looking at it, and usually you just see that song in the background, but I really paid attention to it because this is really interesting. As I wasn't mad about the song, and Headbanger still is one of my least favorite BABYMETAL songs, but I remember just being like, I really like this juxtaposition. Well, yeah. So then, like, things like Gimme Chocolate, which I found much more engaging because it seemed more cohesive and things like that. But there was this long period when really between then and several years later, they were just that band who, they had that interesting song, and I kind of treated them like they were like a bit of a breakout, just kind of like a one-hit wonder, like, oh yeah, they were that band who did that weird song. And then a friend of mine, I think it was in 2013 or something, he had tickets and he invited me to go see them live at Wembley Arena. And then he screwed me on the tickets, and I remember being really upset that I didn't get to see them. So that was a situation that never quite got rectified. But I remember that feeling, and that made me more interested. So I started listening to it more. But again, me and Neon started our channel within like about 2 or 3 days of each other, like both in like the first couple of days of January 2019. And for me, it was also the dive between, like, I was familiar with them. I knew what they looked like. I'd seen their videos. I knew them as those 3 girls, but I didn't really become connected with them until that same point, January 2019, where people were like, okay, check out BABYMETAL. And I was already kind of like, this is a band I should check out for this channel that I'm making. But yeah,
we are all kind of the same, that we didn't have a huge connection with Yui before.
I want to rebut that, because I was going to say that's why I don't actually fully agree. I mean, yeah, I understand there's a lot of people who have that connection, but you can look at that 2 ways. First of all, I mean, for me, I knew what BABYMETAL was. So, I mean, when I was doing my channel, I was being played all the old BABYMETAL songs, so I was getting to know them through all these old videos of them as three girls. I was getting to fall in love with the band that way, even if it was in a more accelerated manner, as I imagine Neon was as well. So you know, we were getting to know them through those old songs. And
I took it even one step further. I went full down the rabbit hole with the Sakura Gakuin as well. So like I got an emotional attachment to her watching them as well and seeing like more of her.
So we both doing that, Sakura Gakuin, Karen Girls. And I would also argue that you could argue the opposite in place of people who had been with the band for the entire time, which is that doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, that they should also be as attached to the other two members. And, you know, be therefore more invested in keeping the two members who are left alive than people who've just joined the band who are like, I'm going to duet, whatever, you know. So I don't know whether I believe that in itself is enough to really.
Yeah, I mean, probably depends on the person, but I personally feel, because I watched your Metalverse video before, and you were talking about, for example, you mentioned, I don't know exactly the context, but if you imagine Moa would leave the group as well, and I was like,
oh,
what? How dare you? Moa will not leave BABYMETAL. I'm Team Moa.
Yeah, I said what would happen, because I was talking about if they play their old songs right now, if they play Give Me Chocolate now, then they are still 2/3 of the band who originally brought that song to us. Right, if Moa left and there was two other people with Sue, then them playing their old songs it'd still be like, oh, it's Sue, it's still BABYMETAL, but it would never be quite the same. And then of course if Sue got replaced, it would be a cover band.
BABYMETAL wouldn't exist without Sue. You could replace Moa, I think, but you can't replace Sue.
That's exactly the point that I find interesting, because I didn't have a lot of connection to Yui. I don't feel too bad about her not being in the band anymore. But with Moa, I feel different, and that's maybe because, for one, she's like probably my favorite person in the whole world. But fanboy out the way.
There we go. In the case of React, he's he needs to die as the hero, or he lives long enough to see himself become the villain.
Quick, get the violin out. Let's play that sort of like Lady and the Tramp style music while he continues to talk.
I know. He's gonna be here in 10 years' time, and we're like, Moa, here's pictures of Moa, bro.
It's just I feel it interesting because I would feel a lot stronger about Moa leaving, and that's probably because I have a lot more connection with her, because when I got into BABYMETAL, she was always there, and Yui wasn't.
Let's throw that the other way around then, because I'm intrigued by what you said. So let's say that Yui was still in the group, that nothing had ever changed, and everything else, you're in the position you're in right now. You've got to know this band, you like them, they're still the same original lineup. Now, so Yui and Sue are there, but now Moa leaves, and you're left with I can see the heartbreak. And you're left with a continuation. You're left with the continuation of the band being Sue and Yui, and now Momoko's maybe drafted in to replace Moa. What would how could you imagine that playing out from your perspective as a Moa fan?
Well, I mean, the way you are suggesting it's that I got to know Yui from the beginning, right? Yeah. So I think, it probably would hit me a lot harder because I would have a stronger connection to Yui. It's not like I feel different about Yui and Moa in that way that I like one more than the other. It's just, that as soon as I got into BABYMETAL, every time I saw BABYMETAL, I was seeing Sue and Moa. But I didn't see Yui every time. I just saw Yui when I was listening to like the earlier stuff. And that's why I don't have as a strong connection, because I just didn't see her as much.
If you had been seeing Sue and Yui and Moa left again, sorry, would you still feel like, you know, your connection to like Sue and Yui moving forwards now, because now they are BABYMETAL, would your connection in any way be diminished, or would you still go, well, look, this is still the same band with the same writers, with the same thing?
I think would be kind of the same as they had their two-piece period, just with Yui instead of Moa.
I think that's reasonable then. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the point, is that's the thing, is that you'd be sad, you'd be heartbroken that your favorite's gone.
Don't ever say that again.
I'm so glad I have an ocean or two to protect me. He will get a plane ticket and I'll pay for that. I'll forget about it and I'll pay for it. But the funny thing is that I think for me that shows that obviously I think that's maybe the main point is you have your passion for your favorite member and your passion for the music are two separate but relevant things, but they're separate things. You can enjoy them as two separate.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
Thank you. Do you agree, Neil?
I pretty much agree. I personally, from my point of view,
He wasn't listening. He was looking at porn. See the reflection through the back window.
But like I said, personally, I feel like Moa could be replaced, and I don't think I would feel any differently. I would miss her, but I
miss her as a person.
I'd miss her as a person, but I feel like it doesn't affect the baby metal too much. Like for me, and again, I'm not trying to lean into Sue's my favorite thing here because I'm totally not. But I just feel like she is the core thing that holds that thing together.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. She's the lead singer.
She's the lead singer. That's what it is. I personally feel that you could revolve girls around Sue, and baby metal could continue indefinitely. But the day Sue says she's had enough, that's enough for baby metal. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
I'm going to throw in an insane question here. All right, this is a crazy question. You ready for this?
Go on.
All right,
maybe.
All right. What would you do? Wait. What would you do if Sue left baby metal? Wait for it. Sue left, and Yui came back.
It wouldn't be the same.
Do you think it would function?
No.
Would you still treat it as baby metal? Would it still be baby metal?
No. I agree. It wouldn't function the same way, but I would still love it because then we could have like a black baby metal as the.
You mean it could like evolve into black baby metal?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
At the moment,
I think it could always evolve into something else, especially if you have like the original members in it. But it would never be the same baby metal.
It would be baby metal in name, but not baby metal in soul.
No, it would be black baby metal.
So in a way, we are actually saying that Sue, I mean, I know there is obviously a very logical precedent behind this, but we are saying that realistically, Sue is she's the unreplaceable thing. You replace her and it's not baby metal. Because in a weird way, I think if like you had Ma and Yui and then Momoko, or perhaps taking up Sue's role, it would be very different because obviously like Sue's voice is prevalent throughout all the songs. And yet I couldn't help but be like fascinated to see how they would carry that legacy forwards
but I think that's exactly where the metal was.
Yeah, that's what I think they're doing with Metalverse. I think they're prepping for that. I think there's a method to the madness there. They are trying
prepping
to
for what?
Sorry,
I don't.
Prepping for what? Do you mean like making baby metal into like a sort of a graduating group where members graduate out and other members replace
I think they're testing it out.
I hope not.
I think they're testing the waters to see if they can make magic happen twice.
That system, I think they're doing that as a separate thing. It's just that system is so Japanese. I don't think graduating groups will work in the West.
No, I don't think baby metal will touch Metalverse, and I don't think Metalverse will touch baby metal with the exception of maybe like them coming together for like a song or two. Like that's as far as
it's like exactly a thing to explore, like different things. Like you just said, imagine Momoko would be the lead singer, something like that.
I'd be all for that. I mean,
but independent from baby metal.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they should experiment with Metalverse. Metalverse should be the testing ground for the things that they're too scared to do with baby metal. So go nuts. I want you to go crazy. I want you to do stuff that we don't expect because that's you've given yourself two groups. You've given yourself the ability to experiment on one of them. So I'll be all for that. Anyway, our free version of Zoom's only got 5 minutes. So let's wrap up final thoughts.
I think as well, I think moving forward with baby metal, I think now you've got the trio back as well. I definitely think that there needs to be more freedom, probably, and less pressure on Sue, because like we said, I feel like Sue's the prominent thing there. And where we had black baby metal and stuff beforehand, where you could say, oh, that's cool, that's a good. We don't have that anymore for obvious reasons, for one reason or another, lack of members, Avengers, no permanent girl to do that off, that back and forwards with Moa. But they have that now. It doesn't have to be a black baby metal again. It could be whatever it is Momo and Moa is going to be. But there needs to be songs.
Red baby metal.
Red Baby Metal or something. Yeah, it could be. But there needs to be something there. There needs to be something to be more than just Sue at the minute, because Sue is maybe a bit too prominent, a little bit too at the pit. I'd like to see more of Moa and Momoko in the future being a little bit more.
I was watching Benedict's face when you said that. I knew you were going to say we need to see more of Moa, and I was just watching his face.
The light
He did it
up.
well. He did it
I mean, as
well,
much
yeah.
as I love the other one, which is mostly, I would say, a Sue solo album almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
really
say the
like to
last
see
two
more of the
have
other
been.
ones.
Yeah, I would say the like I said, the other one and Jesus Christ,
Metal Galaxy.
Metal Galaxy, thank you. Both Metal Galaxy and that have been pretty much just Sue. And maybe that's what's been missing as well when you look at the first two albums. Like you said, you did have variations, which you again, it's not her fault or the company's fault. It's just circumstances. But I'd like to see that on the new album if they do something
want
like
them
that.
to sound like a group. I mean, that's one of the things that separates baby metal from normal metal bands to me, is the fact that they're a group, so you can do group things. Again, I mentioned this as well with my Metalverse video, why I kind of feel like one singer isn't enough for Metalverse, because for me, it's like if you only got one singer, then you're basically just competing on level terms with metal bands. You know, it's like what is the group aspect of this? But you know, that was a whole conversation I had over there.
Yeah, I mean, they gave Momo a mic, for fuck's sake. If you're not going to use it in the next album, then what's the fucking point?
We found out that she was the lady doing the kabuki voice on Metali, which at least yeah, voice got heard. I kind
She even did the scream. Apparently, there's a scream in there. That's Momoko as well. Apparently,
there was in the live video. I didn't see that on. And again, it wasn't particularly clear whether she actually did the scream or not. But I would be inclined to believe she probably did. But it wasn't clear from the video. But yeah, I mean, it was intriguing because obviously now Momoko's getting more vocal time than poor old Moa.
I know. But again,
Benedict's rage has returned.
Moa has always said in interviews though she likes the dancing aspect.
I love Momoko as well.
So
yeah, I know. It's like now we know. Now we know where your bias is now.
I wanted to say, finishing out here. Yeah, very informative. Maybe I will look not as negative on all the Yui posts in the future. So thanks for your input, guys.
Yeah, this has gone from a Yui video to a Moa Bro video, hasn't it?
And if you are a baby metal
fine
fan,
with me.
Get in the comments below and start a ruckus. Let's
give me the hate.
Yeah, let it all out. It's just interactions for our channel after all. So anyway, lots of love. We will see you soon on another video. And until we do, remember to keep your ears to the ear.
And also ask yourself why golf.